saying of like a lot of times in my circle of people, there's some individuals who they have just kind of an edge to them. They have an aggressiveness to them, and so they'll I'll say something and then they'll be like, they'll just try to bat it down or whatever, or just or dismissive. But what they're saying is valid criticism and it's valid feedback, but a lot of times it's how they're saying it, right? So it's not, and that's what I remind people like that all the time, or people who are really being really edgy. It's like, it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it, you know? So anyways.
Well, they're being encountered with a person who is, because how could you tell?
Well, sometimes it takes time. It takes weeks or months to sometimes say, oh, I see what's happening here.
But how would you say that you tell?
Feeling. Right?
How you feel generally when you're with the person.
Feeling, yeah. Absolutely. That's a really good point. I mean, actually, right? It first starts out as sensation. Physical sensation. You feel physically repelled. You feel like, if you feel almost like you want to be in defensiveness mode.
You find yourself talking defensively when you were expecting to be friendly.
I don't need to be defensive, but I feel like I want to be.
Yeah. I live in this beautiful place.
Right. and then you get into the feelings realm, and then you get into the emotions realm, and then finally you find the words for it.
Yeah.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
And you know what? Another example is, Stephen Buhner talks about a lot about the invisibles in life. And one of the examples he often uses is when you walk into a restaurant, you immediately have a sense, whether you like it or not, instantly. It's a gestalt. It's an instant gestalt. And you may not immediately be able to parse, like, it smells weird, or I don't like the people in here, or it's too bright, not enough ambiance, or whatever, or just you don't like the wait staff or whatever, but you have a feeling. And then that feeling, eventually you start to meld it with intellect, so it becomes emotions. And then eventually it becomes words where you're like, hey, I don't like this place because of this reason. That's interesting to... Yeah,
that's soothing to me to imagine. Exploring. I tend to, given that I'm a psychotherapist and that I care, the way that I care about relationships and people and everything, I tend to not be put off by things very easily.
Right.
If that makes sense.
You've been exposed to a lot of different things.
Yeah. And but there's a muscle that you're talking about that I think that I feel like I want to exercise a little more.
Yeah.
This piece about allowing myself to have the experience of yes or no from that first moment.
Yeah.
There's some kind of, and I like the breadth of it. Like the breadth of the yes or the no, meaning that whatever this kind of like invisible, because this is what is it? What was Stephen Buhner?
Well, there's an actual term for it, but one term for it is in the invisibles of life. Yeah.
So there's something about, well, to me, I experience a kind of relief whenever it is that I realize that the conclusions that I'm coming to in my life are coming with information from multiple sources. That it is not this authoritarian thought that is coming in and bulldozing through the experience, but that there's a coherence between the different parts.
Right.
Which brings us back to the nonverbal. Being able to be in touch with whatever it is that's nonverbal. There's something here about whenever it is that thinking and feeling, well, this connects to so many traditions, but for example, in Vipassana meditation and that kind of tradition of being able to support the existence of equanimity and the reduction of suffering in the world by reducing reactivity. Right? That's like a main piece that I left with from
responsibility.
The sense, and there's something there about, well, that the technique in Vipassana has to do with being able to be in connection with sensation in the moment, right? Which brings you to the present moment, and to be able to be aware of any feelings or thoughts that come to you without reacting to them. The practice is to be able to stay in touch with the moment through the sensation, whether it's of your breathing or, there's at different stages, it's different. But there's something there, that the moment that we're aligned, where we're able to be with what it is that we feel and what it is that we think and what it is that we sense in the moment, it's this powerful funnel of life where we can be in touch with life with more coherence. Right? If we're online with all of those pieces, it's almost like we can align to each other in more nuanced ways. Versus if you and I are sitting here and our relationship is just functioning based on some thought pattern that is dissociated from what it is that we're feeling, the sustainability of this moment is going to be much less. It's kind of like if you didn't notice that you were thirsty, and right, like I'm thinking right now about what it is that I'm saying. I saw you drink and you had some awareness somehow of what was going on, and now I have awareness of what's going on and if I didn't do that and I kept on talking for an hour, I'd probably have a sore throat tomorrow.
Or was that mirror neurons?
Or was that